So, Lucy Chen, will you marry me?
Yes.
I have been watching The Rookie since Nathan Fillion walked into that LAPD precinct as the oldest rookie anyone had ever seen. 8 seasons, 8 years. And I honestly thought I knew what this show was capable of doing to me emotionally. And then the bandit happened. And I sat on my couch for about 10 minutes after the credits rolled, just staring at the screen. Because they gave us everything we wanted, and then they took it away in 30 seconds. And I am still not over it. Let's talk about everything that happened in the Season 8 finale. The Everett escape, the ship mission, the ring comedy that somehow made me laugh out loud in the same episode that broke my heart. The proposal, and most importantly, what that ending actually means and what the showrunner said about where Season 9 picks up, because there is a lot to unpack and all of it matters. First, Heath Everett, because this episode is his from the opening scene. The LAPD is transferring Everett from Terminal Island Prison to the courthouse, and what should have been a routine prisoner escort turns into one of the most audacious escapes this show has ever staged. A helicopter emerges from under a bridge. A giant electromagnet lifts the entire prison van off the ground, and Everett walks away, in broad daylight, in the middle of Los Angeles. I honestly could not believe what I was watching. This man did not just escape, he put on a show. And the message was clear. There is no institution, no security measure, no wall that can hold someone with this kind of money and this kind of reach. And the team scrambles. Using pieces of a drone left at the scene, the LAPD and FBI trace the operation to the port of San Diego. A decommissioned military transport ship operated by an international maritime company is leaving imminently, and Everett is on it with at least 36 private soldiers. So a small team goes in, late at night, no backup, stealth mission onto a ship full of armed mercenaries. And Nolan, wonderful, ridiculous, completely irreplaceable Nolan, finds a car on the ship, a specific car, the car from Smokey and the Bandit, and proceeds to use it to make his way off the vessel in the most John Nolan way imaginable. I honestly love this man so much. The show could be falling apart around him, and Nathan Fillion would still find a way to make you smile. The team shuts down the engine, Everett is recaptured, and everyone gets home safe. For now. Meanwhile, the Ring storyline has been quietly running all episode, and I need to talk about it because it is one of the funniest things this show has done in seasons. Tim bought a new vintage ring after the difficult but necessary conversation with his mother about why her family heirloom was not the right choice for Lucy, and then he lost it. Because he put a loose ring with no box into his uniform breast pocket, which is exactly the kind of decision that makes complete sense for Tim Bradford and 0 sense for any other human being on the planet. Angela ends up with the ring for safekeeping. Angela's daughter shoves it up her nose, and I genuinely had to pause the episode because I was laughing too hard to hear what happened next. The ring is retrieved. Angela gives it back, and Tim finally has everything he needs. And then there is the Wesley subplot, which this episode handles beautifully. Malcolm approaches Wesley and offers him money to convince Tim to drop the bribery charges against Everett. It creates a genuine rift. Tim and Wesley argue in a way that feels like it could do lasting damage to one of the show's most important friendships. And then we find out Wesley was playing both sides deliberately. He was secretly working to bring Everett down from the inside. It was never about the money. It was always about protecting Tim and the team. And watching that reveal land, watching Tim understand what Wesley actually did, was one of those quiet moments this show does better than almost any procedural on television. And Miles Penn, standing in for command while the senior team is on the ship operation. A prisoner manages to bring a gun into the station. There is a shooting. And Miles is convinced it is his fault that he missed something, that he failed the team he was supposed to protect, and he did not. Another officer made the mistake. But watching Miles carry that weight, watching a young man who is still becoming a cop wrestle with what it means to be in charge when something goes wrong, was one of the most honest character moments in the entire episode. Miles still has time left as a rookie, and I think Season 9 is going to give him the story he deserves. Now, the beach. After the ship mission, after Everett is back in custody, After the ring is recovered and the Wesley situation is resolved and everyone is safe and the day feels like it might actually end well, Tim asks Lucy to take a walk. And they go to the beach at sunset. And Lucy says something that I think the writers put in that moment very deliberately. She says, "Do you ever have that feeling where a moment is so perfect you are trying to memorize it while you are experiencing it?" And Tim gets down on one knee. And he says, "When we met, I had come to believe the world was a really dark place. And for the last 8 years, you showed me just how much light there really is. You have healed me in places I didn't even know were broken. And I promise you, I promise to spend the rest of our lives doing everything I can to be worthy of that love. So, Lucy Chen, will you marry me?" And I honestly could not breathe through that speech. Because showrunner Alexi Hawley said it directly when we first met Tim Bradford in the pilot. He was a very damaged guy who presented as an asshole. He was the drill sergeant, and Lucy ultimately is the person who helped put him back together and loved him. 8 seasons of watching that man become someone capable of saying those words. 8 seasons of slow burn and almost moments and finally moments, and it all landed in that speech in a way I was not prepared for. Even Holly said he was surprised by how emotional he got just watching the director's cut of it. Lucy said yes, and they held each other on that beach at sunset. And for about 30 seconds, this show gave us exactly what we have been waiting for. And then 2 strangers walked over and congratulated them. And injected them both in the neck with tranquilizers. And as Tim and Lucy lost consciousness, holding hands, bags being placed over their heads, one of the strangers looked at them and said, "Heath Everett says payback is a bitch." The man they put back in custody hours earlier. The man who told Tim earlier this season that he would regret turning down a $10 million bribe. He planned this. He always planned this. This abduction was a backup plan set in place months earlier. When Tim refused his bribe, Everett vowed revenge. Even though the LAPD recaptured him during the ship operation, his reach extended beyond prison walls. And taking Lucy was not random. Holly explained that Everett wanted to inflict maximum psychological damage. Taking Lucy, the person Tim cares about most, ensures the pain runs deepest. This is calculated personal punishment. And the episode ends there. Tim and Lucy, engaged, unconscious, kidnapped, holding hands. Now, what does this mean for Season 9? Because Alexi Hawley told us more than you might think. He said he doesn't think Season 9 will pick up immediately after the kidnapping. The show has a tendency to jump into storytelling rather than setting it up for a long story. In his head right now, they'll be on the trail of trying to find out where Tim and Lucy are and wherever Everett is taking them, which means we will not open on a black screen with Tim and Lucy in a room somewhere. We will open on the team, Nolan, Angela, the whole squad already mobilizing, already hunting, and the first person to realize something is wrong will be Angela. Because she hand-delivered that ring to Tim on the morning of the proposal. She knows exactly where they went and why. And the moment they do not check in, she will know. Holly also hinted that Tim and Lucy will not simply sit and wait to be rescued. There is a mysterious person pulling strings for Everett on the outside, not Malcolm, who is too new to be that deeply connected. Someone else. Someone we have not fully seen yet. And that person is going to be one of Season 9's central threats. Season 9 premieres January 2027 on ABC with 18 consecutive episodes. And after this finale, after everything it built and everything it left open, I honestly think January is going to feel like the longest wait this show has ever asked of us. Drop a comment and tell me, did Tim's proposal speech hit you the way it hit me? And what do you think Season 9 opens on Tim and Lucy fighting their way out, or the team already closing in? Because I have been thinking about nothing else since Monday night, and I need to know your theories right now.